What's up, gardeners? Welcome to Coral's Gardening. It is the middle of autumn right now in Melbourne, so it is not Christmas, but I do have my hat on because it does feel a little bit like Christmas right now. So if you look here, what I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at all those leaves that fell down from those deciduous trees here, and this really feels like Christmas to me because those are like free gifts that Mother Nature are giving us all the time, every year during this season. And those leaves, you see, they're full of nutrition, they're full of gardens, they're full of material that you can add into your garden. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can start using those leaves to be able to prepare for the next season, coming spring, so that you do have a garden ready to go to plant into. All right, let's go. It's funny, as I'm shooting this video, I do have some leaves that are still falling, and you see the leaves are going to keep on falling until this tree is completely naked, right? So you see it's going to be a lot of organic material that I'm going to find on the ground here. But before I start raking them up, I just want to explain a little bit of those leaves here that I have in the garden. I'm not going to pick them up because I want them to become food for everything else that I'm growing in there and continue to feed the soil. This is what you really want to do in your garden. You want to feed the soil. Forget about feeding the plants. If you feed the soil, those microorganisms in the soil are going to feed the plants for you, so that there's less work for you. But here on my driveway, I got nothing growing, and I don't want to have anything growing here, right? So I'm going to pick up those leaves instead. And those leaves, I'm going to take them and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. But really, I'm going to shred them up and show you how I'm going to start using them in my garden. I now picked up all the leaves that I needed to pick up from my driveway, and now we need to shred them. And one way to do that is that you can go and pick up those leaves from your bag and you can start to shred them by hand. Of course we're not going to do that. I don't want to be here until tomorrow. It's not going to work for me, right? So the easy way to do that is to use your lawnmower, like what I got right behind me. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lay down all the leaves here on the grass. And why I want to do that on the grass is because as I mow over the leaves, it's going to shred them and it's going to put them and spread them on my grass directly in place without having me to go and pick up those shredded leaves afterward and spread them manually. So to what I really want for my shredded leaves, this is not small enough, right? I still got some really big parts of leaves here, right here and here. So I'm gonna go over it a second time so I can get really fine shredded leaves to apply in my garden and in other places that I'll show you later. Okay, so there you go. So this is about right. Right, this is about how small I want it. Now there's some big pieces in there, but that's going to be okay. Most of it is pretty small, as you can see here, down there. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to put that back into my bag over there. So there you go. All my leaves are shredded from 3 bags, pretty much. 2.5 bags, I should say. It got down to only 1 bag of shredded leaves, you see. So you may say, oh, but this is not a lot, Coral, but I got so much more leaf that's going to come down in autumn. We still got like a few weeks of autumn left. So yes, I still got a lot of leaf coming through. So what can you use those shredded leaf for in your garden? Well, when you picked up those leaves, you probably noticed that they make a really colorful carpet, right? So if you'd like to have a wonderland kind of feel to your garden, what you can do is you can take this mystical material and put them down on your walkway here, on your pathways, right? And not only this is gonna be great to walk on, it's gonna have an earthy feel to it, it's gonna look great as well. It's also gonna add a lot of nutrients back into your soil as those leaves decompose over time as well. And you can also use them as a mulch in your garden. You can go and spread a cozy blanket of shredded leaves down here around your plants, and really that's going to help retaining moisture into your soil, controlling the soil temperature, giving a habitat to your good bugs as well, but also that's going to help controlling your weeds in your garden. You got to show those weeds who's the boss in the garden, hey? Now you got to be careful though, you don't want to apply too much of it. My grandma used to tell me too much of a good thing is a bad thing, so you really got to be careful how much you apply, because if you apply too much of it, you can start preventing air and water filtering into your soil. And you see, your plants and your soil and your microbial life into your soils, they need water, they need air, so you don't want to prevent it to actually penetrate into your soil. And the other thing as well is, if you got too much of it, it may provide a habitat to start having mold around your plants, start having some fungus, and maybe even attract some of your really bad pests as well. You actually probably don't want that in your garden. Now, an exception to that though is around your perennials and around your trees. They like a good snuggle during winter, right? To keep them away from those frosty chills, right? So you can go and pile that up around the trunk of your trees and around your perennials, just to make sure that they keep warm during the cold winter of Melbourne. For me, where I'm going to be using those shredded leaves is going to be in my compost and making leaf mold this year, right? You probably already know that for your compost to be really effective, you want to have a good ratio of carbon and nitrogen that you add into it. Your carbon, also known as the browns, are things like your shredded leaves that are dead, right? The dead leaves, your papers, your cardboards, and for the nitrogen, which is your greens, this is like your kitchen scraps, your grass clippings, and also your coffee grounds. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Coffee grounds are brown. They're not all black. They're not green. So go and fix your eyes. Here, right next to my compost bin, I got my shredded leaves here, so that anytime I add some greens in there, my kitchen scraps, I can just add a layer of carbon as well. For right now, don't worry too much about trying to get your compost right. I'm gonna have a video that's gonna explain a little bit more about how compost works and what's that ratio and so on. But right now, just remember, anytime when you add your greens, the kitchen scraps and whatnot, just add a little bit of brown as well into it, okay? Now for the leaf mold, what I'm gonna do this year is I'm gonna take a bag of those shredded leaves and I'm gonna leave it in a dark corner in my garden shed. And it's gonna take about 2 to 3 years for the process to happen, for those leaves to decompose and turn into mold, which is kind of like black gold as well, that you can add into your garden in the future once it's ready to be used. So my fellow garden gurus, it's time to embrace the leafy goodness that autumn has to offer. Now, you gotta stick with those leaves from the deciduous trees that you got on your property or around your property. Don't use those evergreen leaves because they can be party poopers in your garden, all right? So if you learned something in this video, just hit that like button. And if you want to see more like this, just hit that subscribe button as well. And remember though, it's never been a better time to be a gardener. So get on the tools and join the community. And I'd like to see you gardening next time. I'll see you in the next video.